Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your buddy Double D, and welcome back to the firing range. We're going to be talking about 200k DPS. So yesterday I hit it. Finally, I got a good roll on the MP5, and I showed a quick video of me tearing through some elites in DZ06. And today we're going to be doing an updated build guide and how you can hit over 200,000 without actually having optimized gear. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. The first and most important part of this build is going to be the weapon. And I'm rocking the Navy MP5 in, and it's got some pretty good talents. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. The talents are what make this gun. I have Vicious, critical hit chances increased by 13% while at full health. Deadly, critical hit damage is increased by 26%, and Ferocious, damage against elite and named enemies is increased by 13%. So I don't know if you noticed, but right at the beginning of the video, when we jumped in, it actually had my DPS somewhere around like 190 or 195. And that's because when I lose some health, that's what my DPS is going to be sitting at. It's not going to be sitting right over 200,000. It will be sitting at that, but, you know, it's nice. It just looks cool on paper, but also it does help with opening on other agents. For example, rogues, things like that. When I get the jump on them and I'm at full health, it's going to allow me to put a ton of pressure right away and force them to pop their cooldowns defensively as opposed to getting a chance to pop them offensively. So it'll keep them at bay, and it'll let me stay one step ahead of them as long as I get the opener on them. So that is the most important part of the build. And in a second, we're going to be going into why the MP5 is better than the Vector for all the Vector fanboys out there. Let's take a look at this. This is the other really important piece of this build, and this is the rush armor. I know a lot of people do not like the rush armor just because they don't like that increased 10% damage, but I really haven't had any trouble, you know, taking a little bit more damage. You just have to be a little smarter when you're playing. But you see the talent here, Reckless, increases damage by 12.5% and increases incoming damage by 10%. So that's huge. There's not really a whole lot else on this thing that makes it great. Obviously, I've got 447 firearms, exotic damage resilience, which is nice so you don't get one shot by those sticky bombs. Health, armor, increased kill XP, mobile cover damage resilience. All of these things are things that could be re-rolled. I will probably at some point in the future be re-rolling mobile cover damage to pulse critical hit damage, because that is what you want to be focusing on for this build. I guess I did forget the third really important thing. A lot of the times I get people asking me why my guns roll higher base damage than their weapons, and I believe the reason for that is going to be my firearms skill, but also if you take a look right here, I've got, oh, wrong gloves, my bad. If you take a look right here, I've got plus 383 SMG damage. So that's going to be huge. That is an absolute must. This is pretty much a perfect roll for gloves. You see I've got my critical hit chance, I've got my critical hit damage, and I've got my SMG damage. The only way that this roll could be better is if that ballistic shield damage was pulse critical hit damage. At some point in the future, I will be trying to get that, but I had to re-roll. I believe it came with marksman rifle damage, and nobody cares about marksman rifle damage. So, anyways, the mods that I'm running are full stamina mods. You see I've got... these are the crafted stamina mods from the Dark Zone, so they did take Division Tech, but they're really nice. So I've got 1, 2, and 3, and 4 stamina mods. I am missing the mod slot here and the mod slot here. I do have a holster that has a mod slot. However, the problem with that is that if you take a look at it, it's going to drop my DPS. Even though it raises my firearms stat, and the reason is because this game takes into account potential DPS. And we're going to stroll down right here, and if you look at it, this has plus 8.5% turret duration, whereas the one that I have has pulse critical hit damage. So once I get that rolled out to critical hit damage on my pulse, it will jump my DPS up to where it needs to be. And you see it's also a nice little bump in my health and my skill power. So that's a good note to take into account. Obviously, I don't have a mod slot on my chest piece, and I could, but again, these are not optimized because Phoenix credits Jesus. And they wonder why people exploit the game to get all the Phoenix credits. It's rough. But anyways, let's jump into the build real quick. Take a look at this. Obviously, we're running Pulse with the tactical scanner. I'm running the self-heal booster shot because it's going to give me a damage buff and a defense buff. If you guys have seen my other videos, but if you look at the tooltip, it just says increases damage. But if you pop the skill, you see it says damage bonus and damage resistance. So that's going to make us a little tankier. I tried running with Tactical Link because I was like, let's see how much damage I can actually do. And it's nice. You do a ton of damage, obviously, but Survivor Link is just OP. Tactical Link doesn't last very long. So, for example, when I see someone use it, I usually just kind of run and hide until I know it's run out, and then I come out and it's gone. So, Survivor Link, it's just, it's more useful. It keeps you alive longer, and if you're dead, it doesn't matter how much DPS you do, you're fucking dead. So, let's jump right into the talents. The talents haven't changed either from my last video. I've got On the Move, kill a hostile while moving to reduce incoming damage by 30% for 10 seconds. I have Adrenaline, use a medkit when not at full health to receive an overheal. Critical Save, use a medkit during low health to increase damage resistance by 40%. You do have to be careful when you're trying to use this, I guess, defensively. Use it on purpose, rather. A lot of the times what I'll do is I'll open up and then I'll let people get me down to that last little segment of health. But you just have to be aware of what's going on around you, because you will get burst down if you're not careful and you don't time it just right. But if you do, you're going to have a 40% damage buff for 10 seconds on top of this, if you happen to have killed something while moving anytime soon. And then on top of that, you get the booster shot, so it's great. I don't have a fourth perk unlocked, but if I did, it would probably... Where is it? I don't know what I would use. I haven't really looked that much into it. I will... I'll update it later when I actually stop being lazy and unlock the rest of the medical wing. So... that's pretty much the build in of itself. Again, the thing that makes or breaks it are going to be the weapon, the gloves, and the chest piece. Now, why am I using the MP5? Why did I choose to craft all of that division tech and farm all of the division tech to craft like 15, which for those of you who don't math very well, that's like, I don't know, 45, 55, somewhere around there. It's upwards, it's a ridiculous number of high-end division tech. So... yeah, why did I choose that? Well, quite simply put, I believe for the game, the MP5 is going to be better than the Vector, and here's why. Hold on, calm down, fanboys. Just relax a second. I know you're upset. I know I said something bad about your Vector, but just bear with me and see if you don't agree. So, the Vector was popular at the beginning of the game for a couple of reasons. Number one, it was easy to obtain. Right when you hit level 30, as soon as you got those Phoenix credits, you could run upstairs and buy it. Number two, crafting it over and over again to get those perfect perks is very easy because it doesn't require division tech to spam craft. And number three, it is a very high burst weapon. Do I have one? No, it looks like I dismantled all of mine. The thing of it is, okay, it has a very high base damage, and higher base damage means when it crits, it will crit harder. So it'll take out bigger chunks of your health at a time. Now, here's the problem. When the game first released, and there were not a lot of people with a lot of hit points and a lot of gear and a lot of armor and damage mitigation, people that didn't know how to build their classes, burst was king, because you would pop your cooldowns, and you could mow down 2 people in one clip from a Vector because of its high burst would catch people off guard. Here's the problem. Now people have gear. Now people have armor mitigation. So when you go up against someone that's geared and knows how to time their cooldowns, they're going to pop their cooldowns. You're going to blow through that first magazine, and you're not going to do a ton of damage. Now, herein lies the problem, and here is why I think the MP5 is better for sustained DPS than the burst damage of the Vector. And again, this is just my personal opinion, and this is what I have noticed in the Dark Zone in PvP. While you have to pop behind cover and hang out and reload your vector. I'm out in the open. I'm close to full health. I've got my buffs going for my defense. I'm going to pop my explosive bullet. I'm going to pop my scan pulse. If I need to, I'm going to pop my survivor link. Now, when you come out of cover and you've got your full magazine, I've got all of my buffs rolling, which means you're either going to have to run or die. And if you're running, you're not going to be able to pop your offensive buffs. So what happens is you are forced to play a defensive style, whereas I can play a very pressure-heavy offensive style. Again, this is just my personal opinion. There's not a ton of math here. I'm just saying from my experience in MMOs, okay, and I understand this is not an MMO, my experience in RPGs, my experience in video games in general, sustained DPS once the game has been out for a while tends to outplay bursty DPS. Burst DPS is very gimmicky. It relies a ton on RNG, the situation to go everything in your favor, and you know, it's just not consistent. Yes, if you catch me and I don't have my cooldowns and things like that, you might be able to burst me down before I can sustain DPS you. However, if it's a straight up 1v1, even a 2v1, you'll see in a clip a little later on in the video, you're just not going to be able to do it. I'm going to be able to survive the initial onslaught, and then my sustained DPS is going to burn you and your buddies down. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on why the Navy MP5 is better than the Vector. Again, it just comes down to your play style. Don't take it personally if I insulted your Vector. I just happen to like the Navy MP5 better. Anyways, that's my DPS build. That's my 2 cents on the play style. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this helps you know what you need to be looking for and how to find it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I always do my best to answer. 100% viewer interaction is my goal. I will catch you guys in the next video. Double D out. Nothing, just wrecking some kids real quick.